Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See how we say that in the Hebrew.
Let's look it up.
You see what that?
Nah, I'm just your hype man.
See, Kod. Okay, Ashar, Kod, Bakawar. Ashar, which means happy. Kod, it's the Chag, which means feast, and Bakawar means first fruits. Happy first fruits, y'all.
Happy first fruits.
Man, we didn't have to be here. There's so many people that didn't make it to this moment. Sometimes, man, in the bootleg church, they was on a little something. The bootleg pastor get to talk, and he said, man, thank the Lord for waking me up this morning. It's a lot of people that did not wake up, and we got to be thankful for physically seeing another day, and then the other side of that is spiritually seeing another day. It's a lot of folks that's back in the congregation of the dead, straight up. So, thankful to the Most High. The title of this evening's lesson, put a little extra to it. Life for life, let us give our best. Life for life, let us give our best. See some babies in the house, huh? Couple of brand new babies, huh? All praise be to the Most High, man. All right. Got a brand new baby boy and a brand new little baby girl, huh? All right, all praises. Check this out. Exodus chapter 23. (16 and 17).
Exodus 23, verse 16. Even unto tomorrow after the seventh Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Wait, hold on. 23 and 17, Exodus,
You don't want that?
not Leviticus. Exodus.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
23 and 16. Matter of fact,
Exodus 23 and verse 16.
hold on, start at 14.
Verse 14. 3 times shalt thou keep a feast unto me in the year.
He says 3 times. It's 3 times. He said you should keep a feast unto him in the year. So he's not talking about 3 times, period. Like there are no more feasts, or there are no more than 3 feasts. But he's being specific. He's saying it's 3 particular feasts. All right? Watch this, read.
Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
So that's one of them right there, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Go ahead.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days.
Uh-huh.
As I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou comest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
Go ahead. So one of them is Passover unleavened bread. All right? That's one. 1 out of 3. Read on.
And the feast of harvest.
And the Feast of Harvest, right? Which is the what?
The first fruits of the labors.
That's what we're upon right now. First fruits. Go ahead.
Which thou hast sown in the field.
Uh-huh.
And the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year.
Go ahead.
When thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
And that's making reference to the Feast of Tabernacles. All right? 3 times, right? Now watch this, read.
3 times in a year, all thy
males, read on,
shall appear before the Lord.
So that's what we have to do. This is one of those feasts where every male is to be present, all right? At least to show your face, to let it be known to the Most High I made it, all right? I showed up, all right? Go to Leviticus chapter 23. 23, I want 15 and 16, and then we'll jump down to 21.
Leviticus 23 and 15. And ye shall count unto you from tomorrow after the Sabbath.
So now it's a lot of people that get this wrong. All right? If you don't count this right, or if you don't follow the instructions properly, I guarantee you are not going to get a count of 50. The whole reason the Feast of First Fruits is also known as Pentecost, because Pentecost literally means what? 50, right? So read it one more time.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath.
From the morrow, which means the next day after the Sabbath. Now, some people, right, will say, well, I think that's talking about the last day of unleavened bread, because that's technically a Sabbath. So they'll say the next day after the last day of unleavened bread, which is a high Sabbath, but not the 7-day Sabbath, right? I'm going to count from there. Now, if you count from there, right, that means, number one, it's a few things wrong with that. Number one, you're not going to get the same count, right? Number two, if you count that as a Sabbath, right, then you also have to count, guess what? The new moon is a Sabbath as well. So what you're going to find out, the scripture says 7 Sabbaths in one day. How many of y'all know how to multiply? All right. You know your times tables? So watch this. 7 times 7 is what? Plus 1. Okay. So if you did your own counting and you was counting all of the high Sabbaths, right, which includes the new moons, you are not going to get 50 days. You're going to get a lot less than 50 days. All right? So he's speaking specifically of the 7-day Sabbath that happens after the last day of unleavened bread. From that day, you count the next day as the first day. Then you count a total of 7 weeks, which is 49 days, plus 1. It always falls on the same day of the week every year, which is sundown, Saturday as we call it, but going into Sunday, which is the first day of the week. All right? Go ahead.
From the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. 7
Sabbaths shall be complete. And when he talks about the sheaf, a lot of y'all might have overlooked that. The sheaf, if you look up the word sheaf, I believe it's omer. Omer literally means a tenth. So we're dealing with tenths already. We're talking about tithes, that which was given unto the priest in the priesthood. All right? This is kind of a memorial, if you will, of first fruits and offerings that's really given all throughout the year. But this is a special moment in which they commemorate that sacrifice, or those sacrifices, those offerings. Go ahead.
Even unto the morrow, after the 7th Sabbath, shall ye number 50 days.
50 days. That's the reason why they call it Pentecost in the New Testament, because Pentecost is a Greek word, which means 50. Go ahead.
And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
All right, drop down to 21.
And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day that it may be a holy convocation.
So that's what we're keeping it as. It is a holy convocation. This is our holy convocation. Holy means what? Set apart. Specifically set apart and designated for what? For the service of the Heavenly Father, right? And a convocation is a what? A gathering, thank you. So this is a holy gathering. This is not a gathering for any and everybody, but this is a special gathering, a holy gathering for a holy people. Right? Go ahead.
Unto you, ye shall do no servile work therein.
So we're not doing any servile work. Only type of work we're doing is pertaining to the feast, making sure the feast is a grand feast, right? Making sure we got the food together, making sure we got things in place so that we have a good time at our feast. Outside of that, any other work that we would normally do, we ain't doing that. Read on.
It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings.
And it don't matter where you at. We don't have to be in the land for this one. As a matter of fact, we wasn't in our land for the first one. We was in the wilderness, right? Right? For actually like the first 40 of them. Because we was in there 40 years. Go ahead.
Throughout your generations.
Throughout your generations. As long as we're around, we're going to be keeping them. Our baby's going to be keeping them. And when we get into the kingdom, we still going to be keeping them. So let's go from there. Proverbs chapter 3. And let's get 9 and 10.
The book of Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 9. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase.
With the first fruits of all thine increase. When you look at that word first fruits, right? It usually uses the word bakawar, but sometimes it uses the word ra'ashiath, which means first or best. Bring your best. And with the first fruits, meaning your best of all thine increase, says honor the Most High with thy substance. We have to understand the importance, right? We don't give tithes anymore because right now we don't have a priesthood. The priest that we do have is after the order of Melchizedek, Malak Tazadak, which is Yahweh Shai, right? He's the high priest right now. We don't have any place that we literally go to in order to offer up these atonements, right? So that's the reason why we're not offering a lot of the sacrifices that we were offering back then. It's a New Testament, a new covenant, right? But yet and still, he says we're still supposed to be giving. There's this thing called alms. There's this thing called alms deeds. Within the nation, charity. We're still supposed to make sure we give our all, right, to one another. And we're giving our best to the Most High. So when we come to commemorate these feasts, one thing that we got to understand is these feasts, yeah, they have something to do with us because we enjoy. And it allows us to come together and be closer, right? It allows us to form tighter bonds and relationships, right? But these feasts of all the commandments that we keep, these feasts are one of the things that we do for the Most High. So for all of the things that we do, the things that we do for the Most High, we should make sure we go above and beyond. Right? All praise be to the Most High. Verse 10.
Verse 10. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty.
He said, if you do that, you giving me your best, you ain't got to worry. You ain't got to work them extra hours. You ain't got to try to figure out a master plan. All of a sudden, everything you touch turns into gold. He said, if you giving me your best, I'm going to bless you. He said, and if you don't believe me, go back to the scripts. Abraham wasn't trying to be rich. He said, everybody that followed me put their hands to the plow and gave their best. Because even Abraham was given to Malak Tazadak. He said, I blessed him tremendously. He said, ain't nothing changed. Go ahead.
And thy presses shall burst out with new wine.
Go from there. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 16. How y'all feeling? All right, for sure. Watch this, man. When I seen this scripture, man, I got excited. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, I want 14 through 16. Watch this.
1 Corinthians chapter 16 and verse 14. Let all your things be done with charity.
He said, let all your things be done with charity. What the script say? He said, I can have all of these things and know all of these things and prophesy so on and so forth. But if I have not charity, I am nothing. He said, let all things be done with charity. But watch this, read.
I beseech you, brethren, you know the house of Stephanias, that is the first fruits of Achaia.
He said, this man is the first fruits. He's the best that's the offer of that place. Watch what it says of him. Go ahead.
And that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints.
Addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. Did y'all hear what what the brother just read? He said this brother was addicted to the ministry of the saints, meaning the Israelites, the ones that keep these commandments. Addicted to the ministry. What is ministry? Ministry is what? Serving. He was addicted to serving Israel. Some of y'all looking with a blank, like, what is he talking? What is he getting at? I'm going to tell you what that looks like. You got some brothers, man, they be ready to street preach, street teach. They like, what, we going? Some brothers would be out there 7 days a week if they could. Addicted to the service of Israel. Some folks are addicted in other ways. You everywhere else in life, you at home, you at your job, but you keep thinking about this place and these people. You addicted to the ministry of the saints. You trying to figure out how can we make this better? How can we fix that? You trying to figure out how you going to help so-and-so because they need this. You thinking about these babies. You thinking about those that are in need. Some of y'all, you addicted to the ministry of the saints because you can't stop thinking about folks and praying for folks. You fast on other people's behalf. A lot of y'all, you at your job and you trying to figure out what you can get from your job so you can bring it here and be a help. That's that addiction right there. You gotta find some addiction within yourself, and if you ain't addicted, you gotta get next to somebody that is. Straight up. I look at myself sometimes and I be tripping like, man, why am I thinking about True Nation? That's the spirit we want. Because guess what? Everything that we do is predicated upon our walk and what we doing and what we building here, this community. Go ahead, finish up.
That ye submit yourselves unto such, and to everyone that helpeth with us and laboreth.
He said that ye submit yourselves unto such, meaning what? When you got people like that, submit yourself, meaning help out. I'm with you. Sometimes you might not be as fervent, but you still care. But you see somebody that's just all in, help them out. Jump on that train. That's what it's going to take for us to build. All right? Go from there. Let's get Romans chapter 11 and verse 16.
Book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 16. For if the first fruit be holy.
So watch this. If the first fruit, so we're talking about the first fruits. The first fruit is usually not just even the best, but also the beginning, the very first of what you get. You ever get something that you can't wait to sink your teeth into? And you want the first piece? You want the first bite? It just don't seem right unless you get it. You can't see yourself allowing all them other pieces to be gone, and then you get some. You want that corner piece. You done already eyed the piece that you want. Right? That's that first fruit. Read that one more time out.
For if the first fruit be holy.
So now listen up. If the first fruit be holy, right? If that which is given and taken away and offered up first is holy. Read on.
The lump is also holy.
Then the lump, meaning the rest of it, is also holy. What do I get from this? Here's the thing. I look at y'all and us, It's the first fruits right now as we embark upon this feast of first fruits. And everything that branches off of us, everything that comes from off of the works, the labor of all of us, that's going to be considered the branches and the lump. Now, it's real simple. If we ain't operating in holiness, if we ain't doing things right, then guess what? The lump is not going to be what? Right. The lump ain't going to be right. But if we can just make sure we right and tight right here, then everything we work towards, all of the labor and all of the seeds that we plant and all of the watering that we doing, all of the harvesting and the plowing that we doing, as we begin to get an increase and we start seeing fruits, guess what's going to happen? That same spirit that you got in here is also going to fall upon the increase. That's what the Bible is saying. If you understand and you sow in righteousness, then you will also reap in righteousness. The harvest will be righteous. You'll know a tree by the fruit that it bears. Right? Go ahead.
For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
If the root be holy, so will the branches be. Go from there. Go to Jeremiah chapter 2. Jeremiah chapter 2, I want 1 through 3.
Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 1. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thy espousals, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness, in the land that was not sown.
He said, I remember you. I remember you when you was just a young tenderoni. Talking about Israel. He said, I remember you in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. What does he mean by a land that was not sown? In the wilderness, in that desert, it wasn't no crops out there. We couldn't depend upon crops and growing things. The Most High, literally, he fed us through what? He dropped manna out the sky. And then when we complain about eating sweet bread, then he said, all right, I'm going to give y'all quail. He gave us water out of rocks. That's what he's talking about. In other words, he said, man, I took care of you when you were in a condition, in a place where it was nowhere in the world you was supposed to be able to sustain. You didn't know where your next check was coming from. You didn't know how you was going to pay your house note, your rent. You didn't know how you was going to pay your lights, your gas, your water bill. You didn't know how you was going to get food. He said, I took care of you. He said, that's our history. That's what you come from. You think it's all you, but you a spiritual people. He said, it's something in you. Somehow, some way, you end up being all right. He said, that's the Most High Spirit, his hand upon you. He said, I'm not going to forsake you. I might turn my face for a while because I'm upset with you. He said, but I'm not going to totally forsake you. How many of y'all been forsaken by the Most High up in here? As long as you got breath. But go ahead and read.
Verse 3. Israel was holiness unto the Lord.
He said it was a time where Israel, we was holiness unto the Most High. We was holy. We was set apart. We wasn't trying to be like the rest of the world. Watch this, read.
And the first fruits of his increase.
And we were the first fruits of his increase. Here we are expected to give first fruits, but he said you were the first fruits of all of the other nations. You were the best. That's what we are. That's our heritage. Go ahead.
All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord.
Watch this. Read, not read, but go to Numbers chapter 3. Give you a little bit of history and a little insight. Numbers chapter 3. And we can start at verse 5.
The book of Numbers, chapter 3, and verse 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister unto him.
So, that's that word minister. He said, bring the tribe of Levi unto Aaron or Aharon. So, both of y'all look. So that they may minister unto him. Meaning what? The whole tribe of Levi had gotten chosen to minister unto the priesthood, the sons of Aaron, which happened to be of the tribe of Levi. But the whole tribe by default would have to minister unto them, meaning what? I'm going to explain. This means the Levites didn't have the same opportunities that all of the rest of the tribes had. A lot of y'all, raise your hand, keep it 100. Raise your hand if you like to live your life. You like to go and enjoy life. You like to buy what you want to buy. You don't mind working a little harder and taking some extra hours to get what you want to get. Right? Sometimes you might want to change jobs. Raise your hand if you got hobbies. Raise your hand if you switch your hobbies from time to time. Right? You enjoy your freedom, don't you? Well, the Levites didn't have that freedom. The Levites couldn't go and buy what they wanted. They had a strict regimen. The Levites, first of all, they had to live in a specific place. They live within allotted areas, within all of the allotted territories of each tribe, right? And they had to be close to the suburbs and where the various different altars were set up in order for them to minister unto the high priest in that area so that they can offer up atonements for that respective tribe. So let me tell you some of the things that the Levites had to do on a day-to-day basis, right? They had to attend to all of the needs and all of the secular work that the priest and the high priest could not do because they were so focused on their connection with the Most High, focused on diving into the word, being scribes, rewriting scrolls, making sure the showbread was baked and renewed on a day-to-day basis, making sure there was enough oil in the lamps that would keep lit in their respective places. They were the doctors and the lawyers, so on and so forth. And everything, all the secretarial work, all of the grunt work that needed to be done, guess who was there to do it? The Levites. They had no means to start and have their own businesses and run their own businesses. So guess what? They depended upon 1/10 of everybody else's in order to be able to take care of their basic needs. They lived a life of servitude. This is what it was in Israel. So keep that in mind. Read.
Verse 7, and they shall keep his charge, and the charge of the whole congregation, before the tabernacle of the congregation, to do the service of the tabernacle.
So there was a tabernacle, right? Before there was a temple. And whether it was the tabernacle or the temple, there was a lot of upkeep involved. Not only that, the tabernacle was something that had to be packed up, carried, and then set up again, along with everything inside. And things had to be carried in a certain way. Things had to be kept a certain way. And that was their job, while everybody else got the opportunity 6 days to kind of do what they wanted to do. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 8, and they shall keep all the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation, in the charge of the children of Israel, to do the service of the tabernacle.
And then they also were responsible with keeping charge of the children of Israel. They were the ones that had to help to make sure certain things were in line concerning the children of Israel and helped to make sure the matters were heard amongst the people. Go ahead.
And thou shalt give the Levites unto Aaron and to his sons. They are wholly given unto him out of the children of Israel.
They are wholly given, meaning the whole tribe. Wasn't nobody like, yeah, I'm a Levite, but I'm over here doing my thing. It wasn't nothing like that. You was a Levite, you was serving. What? No, I want to be a ball player. I want to do construction, mama. Nah, it wasn't none of that. Go ahead.
And thou shalt appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall wait on their priest office. And the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death.
Go ahead.
The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, And I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel.
Now watch this, listen up. Because this is what it was originally intended to be. He said, I've taken the Levites from among the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Instead of all the firstborn that openeth the matrix among the children of Israel.
The matrix is the womb. So he said, I took the Levites instead of taking all of y'all firstborn. How many of y'all up in here was the firstborn of your parents? All of y'all would have been locked in servitude. It was quite a bit of y'all that raised your hands. Go ahead.
Therefore, the Levites shall be mine.
The Levites shall be mine. He said, I did y'all a favor because I was going to have all of the firstborn of all of Israel. A lot of y'all wouldn't even got a chance to grow up with your mama and your daddy. You would have been off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dedicated and sanctified.
Man, but now this is cold. This is why I call this lesson Life for Life. Watch this, read.
Because all the firstborn are mine.
He said all of the firstborn are mine. Watch why. Read on.
From the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
Hold on. Did you remember that? How many of y'all remember that story? That history, because that really happened. He said, remember when I smote all of the firstborn of Egypt? Watch this.
I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. Mine shall they be.
Blood for blood, blood in, blood out. He said life for life. Favor for a favor. That's how the Most High rock. You thought you was gangster. You thought somebody out here invented that. That's what the Most High, that's how he rolls. He said, yeah, I got rid of all of them, but it was a price. And it goes both ways. That's why we got to understand that what we locked into. Just like we read earlier in the General Assembly, Paul was like, man, either I can do it and get a reward, or I can not do it and get all messed up anyway. I'd rather do it and get a reward for it. He said, anyway, I'm locked into being a servant. But we also got to remember how merciful the Most, because sometimes you feel like you trapped in this truth. Some of y'all done had y'all moments where you felt like you was trapped. The Most High said, you don't know how merciful I've been because you don't know what you owe me. He said, you don't know how much blood was shed so that you could be here at this very moment. We don't think like that. We take a lot of stuff for granted. He said, that's why we commemorate first fruits. He said, I want you to give me your best. He said, because I've always given you nothing less. I ain't gave you nothing less but the best. He said, I made you the best. The least you can do is give me your best. Go from there. Matthew chapter 20. (21) 25 through 28.
Book of Matthew, chapter 20, and verse 25. And Yahushua called them unto him and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them.
So what is he talking about? He said of the other nations, I'm going to tell you how they rock. When they got princes, meaning authoritative positions, rulers, he said the way they rock, they exercise that authority. They lord over their people. He said that's how they get down. But watch this, read verse 26.
But it shall not be so among you.
That ain't how it's supposed to be. You in a congregation like that, a camp like that, that's not how it's supposed to be. The person that's set to be the leader, they ain't supposed to be lording over the people. I could tell you right from wrong, and I can even deliver judgment, but I ain't supposed to be lording over you. I'm still your brother. Now, if Yahweh Shai said we joint heirs, if he said I ain't gonna drink no more wine until we get into the kingdom when I'm kicking it with you, then who the heck am I? Think about that. Who am I to stick out my chest like I'm somebody? He said that's not how we're supposed to get down in Israel. But we still supposed to have order. He said you can have order without all of the extras. Go ahead, read.
But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister.
There go that word again. Whosoever be great among you, the greatest, let him be what?
Your minister.
He's supposed to be your servant. That's what this is. This is servitude. This is ministry. We got to be ministers to the people. Go ahead.
And whosoever will be chief among you.
Whoever is the chief. Watch this, read.
Let him be your servant.
He's supposed to be your biggest servant. That ain't how Esau rock. But that's how we rock. Watch this, read.
Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto.
He said Yahweh Shai didn't come on this earth to be ministered unto. It's crazy because a lot of us, man, we go through a whole lot. And some of us, we be needing that attention. We be needing that help. We be needing that good talking to. Yahweh Shai came on this earth and guess what? He didn't need no pep talks. He didn't even take an ear. He said, I don't even need an ear. He said, I'm going to take it all on my back. He said, I didn't come here to be ministered to by y'all. I came here to be a servant to y'all. He came here and he labored, young man. Other men at the same age when he was doing his ministry, they was partying. I know I was. Took it upon himself as a young man to teach, to travel, to pour into people, straight up, to be dodging the authorities, getting in trouble. That's what he was doing. Read on.
But to minister and to give his life a ransom for many.
And that's the last part. To give his life as a ransom for many. He gave his life as a ransom. That's that life for life. We couldn't be if he didn't give his life. Straight up. All praise be to the Most High. We wouldn't be here if he hadn't given his life, shed his blood. We wouldn't be here. He gave his best, y'all. He gave his best. Watch this. Go to Hebrews chapter 4. Now, a lot of us, man, we go through stuff and we go through so much stuff that we justify when we finally blow up. What you expect? I'm human. Just going through so much. But watch this, Hebrews chapter 4, 14 and 15.
Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest.
We got a great high priest. Because remember, you got to remember you got to remember, and we'll go there in a second. I ain't going to give it up. But Yahweh Shai is the high priest right now, right? When we're talking about, it's a correlation between the first fruits, that 10th, right? That best, that first is given, and that first was to be given to the priest. It's so much that we owe him, you can't even imagine. And he took it upon himself. He already came back to retake his position as high priest, because that wasn't the first time that he was high priest. He was high priest during the time of Abraham, who was one of his forefathers. They called him by the title of Malak Tazadok, which means king of righteousness. He was getting his 10th way back then. Straight up. He came back to reclaim that. Then he got to come back again, because another thing that he was that a lot of y'all don't realize, he was the king before Saul was. And the people complained. The people said, we want a king like this. We want a king that can feel what we feel, that have been through the things that we go through. Samuel was kind of heated about it, but Yahweh Shai said, it's all right. Let them have their kings. And it went all the way back. And he said, I'm coming back to reclaim my other position. But watch this, read on.
That is passed into heavens. Yahweh Shai, the son of Yahweh. Let us hold fast our profession.
He said, let us hold fast our profession. Sometimes we forget that we professional Israelites. Whatever job, whatever profession you think you got, that's your secondary job at best. What's your profession, sir? I'm an Israelite. This is what I do. 24/7. Go ahead and read.
For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities.
See? He understood that because he went through that. He said, now you can't say nothing. I went through what you went through. But watch this, read.
But was in all points tempted like as we are.
He was in all points tempted the same way we was tempted. You think Yahweh Shai definitely wasn't homosexual? I'm pretty sure he saw beautiful women and liked beautiful women. But as much as we want to feel them urges and we be burning and we want to do what we got to do, Yahweh Shai said, I'm putting that to the side because I got work to do. Don't think he didn't go through the same things we went through. He wanted to party at times when he couldn't party, but he said, I got to handle this business. He was 12 years old, want to play. He said, but I got to be about my father's business. So he said, look, you can't say I didn't do it. All of the stuff that you trying to overcome, that you fighting with, you can't say that you ain't got a high priest and a king that understands. And if I can do it, then you can do it. Go ahead and finish that off, Ak.
Yet without sin.
Yet without sin. Just like he told Abraham. How old was Abraham when he told him, be ye perfect? Because you know Abraham more than likely wasn't perfect before that. But he said at almost 100 years old, he said, now be ye perfect. He said, I'm not worried about your past. I'm worried about the now and what you do going forward. Just give me your best now. That's all you got to do. Give me Ezekiel chapter 44 and 30.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 44, and verse 30. And the first of all the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of all.
Oblation is talking about what? We're talking about animal sacrifices. We're talking about barbecuing. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about oblations. Go ahead.
Of every sort of your oblation shall be the priest.
It belongs to who?
the priests.
All of that belong to the priests. Also all of the first fruits that come up out the ground. He gonna tell you even of your dough, the foods you make. Don't be stingy with the food. That's why tomorrow we ain't gonna be stingy with that food. Go ahead, read.
Ye shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough.
The first of your dough, them cakes and them cookies that you like to make. Go ahead.
He may cause the blessing to rest in thine house.
There you go. He said you're going to have a blessing to rest upon your house because of what you offering. That's what it's about. Because some of y'all think I'm just bringing a dish. He said, nah, bring it with love. Bring your best. He said, because when we eat off of it, man, and we rejoice, he said, you don't even know what I got up my sleeve. He said, I need y'all to get tighter and tighter. I need y'all to love each other more and more because I need y'all to be ready to die for one another. He said, that's what these feast days do. He said, you don't even know. You sitting up there having fun. He said, you don't even know you just getting closer bonds. That's it. Go from there. First Peter chapter 2, verse 9 and 10.
First Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation. A royal priesthood.
A what?
A royal priesthood.
He said you a royal priesthood. He put the extras on it. You're not just a priesthood, but you a royal priesthood. He said, I'm a merge, because remember, Judah had what? Judah had the royal family, right? Levi had what? Levi had the family of priests. He said, I'm going to slap both of them together, and I'm going to make the whole nation that. He said, I'm going to make you a royal priesthood, what you was originally meant to be from the jump. Go ahead.
And holy nation, a peculiar people.
Go ahead.
That ye should show forth the praise of him who hath called you out of the darkness into this marvelous light.
So watch this. It's crazy because we talking about you giving your best, giving your first fruits. But in actuality, because the Most High, he gonna smell of that savor that you send up. Yahweh Shai ain't here to actually grab them oblations up. So who's actually gonna be the ones partaking in these first fruits?
Y'all.
You, us, because we the priesthood. We're getting ready to be a royal priesthood. He said, in actuality, give your best to yourself, to your nation, to your people. That's what he's saying. Give your best to yourselves. Give your best to your nation. But watch this, verse 10.
Which in times past were not a people, but are now the people of Yahweh.
Just not too long ago, we was Hispanics and blacks and Latinos and Native Americans, Filipino. We was all of that. Brothers in Africa, where they was Africans. We was everything under the sun. We was Jamaicans. We was Trinidadians. Israel all throughout the four corners of the earth, right? We was everything but Israel. We was everything but ourselves. He said it was a time where you were not a people. He said, but now you are a people. You are the people again. You've remembered yourself. Go ahead.
Which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy.
We finally in a place where we've obtained enough mercy to do what? To be able to keep these feasts. With everything going on, curfews and COVID-19, he said, I'm going to still make sure that you can keep these feasts. It's a blessing in that. What would it be if the curfew said you couldn't keep this feast? So we're going to do it anyway, huh?
Crazy.
Romans chapter 8. chapter 8, and I don't think I want to read all of this. There's some good stuff. I'm going to get straight to the meat of it. Chapter 8. And let's get verse 23.
The book of Romans, chapter 8, and verse 23.
Matter of fact, before you get that, give me 14.
Verse 14.
Start at 13, I'm sorry.
Verse 13.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die.
If we living after this flesh, we gonna die. Straight up. If we living after this flesh, we gonna die. I don't want to die a nigga. I don't want to die the homie. I don't want to die cuz. I don't want to die blood. I don't even want to die a black man. I don't want to die that. I want to die Israel. If I'm going to die. If I'm going to die, I want to die to Zion and Ariala. That's what I want. I don't want to live after this flesh.
Oh.
But what?
But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live.
If you mortify the deeds of that body, if you check yourself, check them lusts and them urges, guess what? Scripture say you're going to live. Go ahead.
For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
They are the sons of God. So we got to operate by the Spirit. But watch this, read.
For if ye have not received the spirit of bondage, again, for ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father.
He said when you got in this truth, you weren't supposed to feel like you was a prisoner, even though it's an aspect of us being prisoners like Paul spoke about. But he said more so, you're supposed to feel like you've been adopted. Now you can literally call the Creator Abba, Father. Watch this, read.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
It's crazy, man. I don't even find myself trying to explain to people. It's so much documentation, so much archaeology that you can show people, be like, look, the Israelites, they us. Look, see? I don't even feel like that no more. So-called blacks, so-called Latinos. I remember a lot of my Latino brothers, feuding in Israel. Oh, they trying to prove it. You get to a point, man, you get in this spirit and you don't even feel like you got to do that no more, because I could see the spirit of the Most High on y'all. We wouldn't be, look, you wouldn't be here if you, and I've seen it. The nations don't want no parts of this. They can care less. Our spirits bear witness with his spirit. That's heavy. That's heavy right there. There's a time when I was early in the truth and I was wondering, man, I could be this, I could have been that. Forefather could have been that, I think of it, but spirit bear witness with his spirit. I said, only Israel by name. Straight up, read on.
And if children, then heirs.
He said, if children, then that means you heirs. That means this belong to you. You got something coming your way. Read on.
Heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ.
And what?
And joint heirs with Christ.
That's our brother. Look how real, look how much of a real one he is. Yahweh Shai could be like, man, I'm better than you niggas. Better than y'all. Yahweh Shai said, you my brother. He said, even though, yeah, I'm the king, but he said, I'm your servant. And I can't wait to be with y'all. I can't wait to keep feasting the kingdom with y'all. That's what this is about. That's what get me excited, man. It's a whole lot of folks out here that really are power hungry. But you ain't going to be power hungry when you know and you understand that the power himself is in control and you not. It ain't going to be no need of being hungry for anybody's power when you realize you ain't got no power. The only power that you got is what you allotted for the moment. That's it. All I can do is be a vessel. I know all praise be to the Most High. He gave me the ability to speak and people listen. And I got to use that. But I don't think I'm nobody because of it. I just want to do the work. We got to work. Y'all got gifts. And it's time to build. And it's time to give our best. First fruits. Drop down. Verse 28.
Verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God. To them who are the called according to his purpose.
So watch this. Go up to 26. I need that real quick.
Verse 26. Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities. For we know not what we should pray for as we ought. But the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered.
So sometimes you don't even know what's wrong with you. And you ever been in a place where you know you need to pray, but you don't even know what to pray for? You don't know how to articulate what it is that you need? He said, all praise be to the Most High. Your spirit know more than what you able to say. He said, your spirit making intercession on your behalf. Just through your groans, the Most High understands you. I know exactly what you need. Heavy. Heavy. You ever sometimes just start singing and things come out your mouth, you like, where that came from? That spirit start taking over. Go ahead and read.
Verse 27, and he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit.
What's the mind of the Spirit? Go ahead.
Because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God.
So drop down, 29.
Verse 29, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate, to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren.
So now watch this. What is he saying right here? He's saying something that's beautiful. He said, a lot of y'all, you don't even know that I had already predestinated you to be right where you at. I already predestinated you to be in righteousness and to make it into this kingdom. Go ahead and read.
Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified.
Go ahead.
What shall we say then to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
Who can be against us if the Most High be for us? And that's a real question. Who can be against us if the Most High is for us? You ain't got to worry about going into that fight and getting your butt beat. Sometimes you ever feel like, man, you go into a fight and you really ain't got no genuine anger and you don't really know if the person that you about to face did anything wrong, and you kind of feel at a disadvantage. But when you know that person done wronged you, you feel like ain't no way in the world they gonna beat your behind. That's what it's like. Go ahead.
He that spared not his own Son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things?
He said, now if he gave you the life, he gave the life of his Son on your behalf, why wouldn't he give you everything else that you need? What you worried about? What you worried about? That's love right there. And for the sake of time, because I ain't going to hold y'all all night, read that all the way down to 39 for yourself. Get Revelations 14, 1 through 5, and we're going to wrap it up with this. Because I know even though we having the actual festivities in the morning, I'm pretty sure somebody got some drink tonight.
Revelations 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads.
Go ahead.
And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps.
Go ahead.
And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000.
Go ahead.
Which were redeemed from the earth.
Go ahead.
These are they which were not defiled with women.
That doesn't mean they never had a woman, but what it's saying is talking about something important. They weren't defiled with the nonsense of this world. Right? As Proverbs 31 says in the beginning, give not thy strength to a woman. They kept it solid. That's what this is talking about. Go ahead.
For they are virgins.
Meaning they're not blemished. They're not corrupted and defiled. Go ahead.
These are they which follow the Lamb, whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits.
The what?
Being the first fruits.
Go ahead.
Unto Yahweh and to the Lamb.
Go ahead.
And their mouth were found no guile. For they are without fault before the throne of Yahweh.
And all praise be to the Most High, man, because we very well might have some of those same men amongst us, man. All praise be to the Most High, because guess what? Scripture says, and there's plenty more to bring out, man, we are the first fruits. We are the first fruits, man. We are the ones that understand who we are and understand what's expected of us. And let us rejoice in that. Let us give our best going into this feast. And let us enjoy one another. All praise be to the Most High. Any announcements?